A nurse from Whelan in North Cork, Pat McMahon, who has dedicated his life to saving mothers and children in Varanasi, which is one of India's most poverty-stricken regions, will embark on his final barefoot walk of the year next Monday morning. And to find out more, I'm delighted to say that Pat joins me on the programme. Good morning to you, Pat.
Good morning, Patricia, and thanks for having me.
Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I'm just sorry because of COVID times. You normally have always been very good to come to studio, and you'd be sitting here in the studio with me, but unfortunately with restrictions we have to do it over the phone. But listen, tell me your plans. You're doing a barefoot walk.
And thank you, Patricia, because I think you've always shown a real interest in humanitarian issues and people that are so disadvantaged. So genuinely thank you for your compassion.
Well, if we can help in any way. Listen, you're doing a barefoot walk to Dublin this time round. Tell me about your plans for Monday.
Well, it's from Houston Station, and from there I'll walk from there to the Salmon Memorial in Austin's Quay in Dublin, and then to Dáil Éireann, and then make our way to the Áras an Uachtaráin to present our pledge. Basically, I suppose we all know in Ireland now what an emergency situation could look like, with COVID-19 and restrictions and lockdown. And the reality is that COVID-19 has had a detrimental impact on food security for some of the poorest people in our world. And so we're walking in solidarity with those people, but particularly we're asking people to sign a right to food pledge, and that pledge is on our website. And so rather than, I suppose, speaking about defeat itself, it's more about the issue of the right to food for people that are desperately poor.
I watched your little video clip that you've put up on your right to pledge page, and it's quite stark. It's every 4 seconds.
Every 4 seconds, somebody dies of hunger.
Every 4 seconds.
Every 4 seconds, and it's so unimaginable for us to think that this is happening, and that we know what to do, and humanitarian response plans are there to be fulfilled, but we have funding. We're only funding half of them. And just to put this into perspective, so the World Food Programme can feed a person for 20 cents. 20 cents a day, they can feed one person. And due to funding cuts, they have to halve the amount of food that they're giving. So instead of 20 cents, they're giving 10 cents worth of food. And that's how catastrophic and serious the situation is now. And I suppose the pledge is it's not just for Ireland, but for all wealthy donor countries to ensure that these humanitarian response plans are fully funded. Like, to put it into context, next year they estimate that 183 million people in our world will be in severe food insecurity, and they will require humanitarian intervention. And those interventions are only half funded.
Does watching somebody die from hunger, Pat, change you forever?
Oh my God. You never get over it. You actually never, when you emotionally feel and see this, a human being dying of hunger, just of hunger. Like, even now, as you say it, I'm in tears, because you cannot imagine such a wrong. And to imagine that that's happening every 4 seconds. And I think my call is very much for the citizens. If we decide that these humanitarian response plans should be fully funded, it might cost, for the Irish government to pay their share, for us to pay our share, it may mean that we have to give 0.1% of GDP extra. That's all,
It's a tiny amount in the scheme. In the scheme of things. And how are things in Varanasi? I mean, I'm assuming because of COVID, have you been able to get out there?
I haven't been out since COVID. No, I haven't.
And are you in contact with your people on the ground?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How are they doing?
I think for the last year was very tough. we really saw a difference in the nutrition status of women, that they were more malnourished. But to be honest, things have leveled out a little bit and things have got a little bit better. So, I suppose when you can provide the interventions that are required, it does have a huge impact. So I would say, like, the level of hunger that we're speaking about, that level of hunger, extreme hunger, is happening, in places like Africa, and that is extreme. Like, people regularly go a day or days without food. There's a report about South Sudan, and for me, it really hit home. The survey showed that 97% of mothers and fathers were eating less to give their children more. And I just felt that was such a human response that we can all understand. Your child that's your priority, you do anything for them. 97%. And even at that, it wasn't enough.
It's in our DNA, Pat. Our ancestors went through that during famine times. Our forefathers knew what it was like to die of hunger and to do everything to try and keep your children alive.
When I speak a lot to the old people, about the work that we're doing around hunger, and they would there'd be tears in their eyes because they understood. They knew that reality as a living. We don't know, and we're fortunate that we don't know that reality. But the old people did know that reality. Did know what it was like to be hungry, what it was like to, what food insecurity was. We thankfully, we have left that situation. But there's so many more now that are in it, and for such a small amount. So I suppose we're asking people to go onto our website and look at the pledge. Like, it is detailed, because I want people to understand what you're signing. And
it's only a minute long, but it's a very powerful little video, and it's mothersfirst.net.
Yeah, it's actually mothersfirstcharity.org.
Mothersfirstcharity.org, and you'll see the right to a food pledge. And the significance, Pat, of walking barefoot. Why do you do that?
I think to show, it's like the hardship people are experiencing, and there is people in our world, just like there was in Ireland, who don't have money for shoes. Who literally, that's the point that it's at. So it's kind of recognizing our privilege barefoot, because I'm choosing to walk barefoot. I don't have to. There's many people in extreme poverty who have no choice. So it's recognizing that, and for me, it's like, it's my choice and my privilege to be able to do this. And, I suppose try and garner a little bit of media attention, because unless we start talking about extreme hunger, and I know people don't want to hear it, but like you said, Patricia, in Ireland in particular, we have a real empathy with people, a real understanding with what hunger is. And, it's like, even look back in 1984 in Ethiopia, Ireland was one of the poorest countries in Europe at that time.
And we gave the most. We gave the most. I know, Bob Geldof, we're very proud of that stat. You're an incredible human being. We wish you good luck with your walk, Pat, and continued good luck with your amazing work that you do in Varanasi.
One final thing.
Yeah.
If there's any, a lot of refugees here in Ireland, they're coming from these countries. So if there's any people who would like to get in contact and see if they would like to support us, anybody that's listening, but particularly people who are in the refugee community that might be listening to this, to get in contact with us through mothersfirstcharity.org, because we'd love to hear from you.
Get their stories as well. It's so important.
Absolutely.
Pat, have a happy Christmas and look after yourself.
You too, and thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Bye bye. That is it. He's truly inspirational. That is Pat McMahon, a nurse from Whelan, but he runs mothersfirstcharity.org. Please go on and just look at his Right to Food pledge. There's a little 1-minute video that just captures the essence of what the pledge is all about.